yo, you already know. It's your boy Big Trail, repping Hot 92.5 The Heat, and you already know it's the hottest station in the nation. And you're now tuned in to Talk That Talk with yours truly, and a shout out to my brother off the curb, Tay. And today, we're Hot 92.5. We always tell y'all, we play the hottest tracks, but we're more than just music. We try to bring it to you from every type of angle that there is. And today, we have a very, very prestigious guest in the building today. A dear friend of mine. This lady is, I could go on forever, but I'm going to just jump straight into it. She's a super dope person, member of Zeta Phi Beta, also an esteemed published author, as well as a great baker too. So, you know, in the pastries, you know, she could probably hook you up. But today we're going to jump straight into it. We're going to talk about the book that we have here today with my partner, my host, my family, my friend, Miss Reasha Tenaye.
Hey, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, appreciate it. You know,
make me blush.
It's easy to tell the truth, but that'll be easy on you too.
I know.
That's easy. That's easy. But I appreciate you for stopping by,
blessing us with your time.
Yes, yes. Now, we've been knowing each other for almost it's been a minute, 15, 20 something years out, something like that.
Yeah.
And all this time, I never knew that you had the writing bug. You know.
Oh, yeah.
I know you were very observant and very, you know, also meticulous when it comes to certain things and conversations we used to have. But we'll talk about that later. But how did we get to where we at today with the title "Waiting on My Rainbow"?
So I've always writing has always been my release, my thing, where I felt seen. I was a middle child, and you know how that goes. And my siblings were always very outgoing. I was not. So that's why I was always around and watching, and I always felt that I was unseen. So because of that, I would just write things down. So I would write stories, poems, you know, all that emo stuff in high school. And I always felt that if I could get my thoughts into words, it would always convey it properly. So even if someone didn't listen to me, I knew that I got it out, and at least I was able to get that release.
Okay, so even at a young age, you kept a diary?
Yeah. Oh, I had so many diaries.
Did your siblings ever get a hold to them?
No, they never paid attention enough to do it. So, you know, I have an older sister, then I have younger brothers, and of course brothers didn't care. And my sister was living her life. She was popular. We were total opposite, so they didn't care.
So, okay, I can dig it, man. Diary at a young age, right? So, because originally you're from Boston, correct?
I am.
Right. So
what's up?
Boston has always been one of those places, and I guess I can attribute this to Matt Damon and Ben Affleck for all of their movies.
A lot of people attribute Boston to them, to New Kids on the Block.
Yeah.
Bobby Brown is from Boston.
New Edition, better believe it.
Best thing out of Boston next to me.
There it is.
Yeah, we got some other people there too. But yeah, most people see that side of Boston, but there is another side that is better side. But yeah, that's where I'm from.
So being a middle child coming up in Boston, you got your diary, you're writing, you know, keeping up with your daily logs.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? Like, how did it help shape you into the young lady that you become today?
It kind of helped me not to go crazy.
That was just my bad.
Fair. But no, like I wasn't a kid. I would go outside sometimes, but I wasn't the outside person. I like to be in the house. I like to be reading books. I like to keep it low key because, again, I was in the middle. So in one extreme, you got my sister doing what she was doing, and you have my brothers doing what they're doing. I just wanted to stay out of trouble, out of focus. Like, let me just sit here and be quiet. I seen my sister try to buck at my mama. That punk jumped up, that punk got beat down. Okay? I didn't want that to be my story.
Right.
Then my brother, he's a boy, so he was is the favorite present tense. Shout out to my brother Chris. But but yeah, I just chose to just kind of stay out of the spotlight because I always felt different. You know, I'm brighter than most of my family, and I remember being told I was adopted. I kind of believed that because I'm like,
what?
You know, we all kind of look, you know, it's sibling stuff. My older sister, we're close in age. That's a thing. But I have a ton. I have like literally about 30 first cousins. So there was a lot of us. So I just try to stay out the way.
Yeah.
And so reading, that was my thing. In school, I try to just stick. My I have a lot of nicknames for my family. One of them is Professor because I just stuck to myself, did my work, tried to play by the book, and not get in trouble. So reading was almost my thing. I worked at a library when I was old enough to work.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Boston Public Library was my first job was working like a summer job, cleaning up the parks back home. But
the parks.
but my first real job was working at the Boston Public Library, and I worked there after school every day. And that was cool, but I got to be around books. I love to read. I love learning, so it worked for me. And that even today that stays with me. I have a couple books in my bag right now that I'm reading. Love books. So.
Do kids still go to the library? I mean, they got these, smart devices. It's when the dawn of a new era. But I'm like thinking to myself, like, I remember I used to go on dates at the library. Like,
yeah,
you take to the library?
Let me tell you something. Of the jobs that I've had, don't sleep on the shenanigans that would happen in the library.
Oh, I know. I was part of them shenanigans in my day.
Went down the library. My kids are like me. They like to read. Yeah. So my kids have a ton of books. They go, but to your point, most kids, they have electronics so they can download copies of books and stuff. But I mean, I'm fairly certain that in this day and age, if someone were to announce a library were closed, I'm sure people would riot because that's history. That's tangible.
The library from here is right down the corner.
Yeah.
I'm here every day, and I'm like, that library, is it open? Like, it just looks like you see tumbleweeds. I'm like,
yeah.
And you got the school right there, you know what I'm saying? So you would think that, like, man, nobody's really going to
no one takes I remember when I was in school, we took a field trip to the library to get our library cards. And it was like the big thing. But, now that you say that, the only time my kids have been to the library is if I've taken them or if like their daycare is taking them to school. But they have a library at school because my kids bring home books every week. Please bring these back because I don't need that letter coming from school.
I know that's right. Now, what would you say would be the most inspirational book that you have read that really touched your soul? You read it like, you know what? This is for me, just for me. I don't care what nobody else says. This is it. This is the one.
That's hard because I've read a lot of books. I don't want to be cliche, but I'm going to use the popular answer and say the Bible. Only because like I've read so many books. Like I remember one summer in elementary school, they send the little summer reading book list. Oh, just write, you read this many books, you get whatever. That one summer I read 100 books. That one summer. And these were chapter books at the time. Like give me a book, I'm going, like my imagination is going. So yeah, but I'm gonna go with the Bible because
I know that's right.
You get your horror, you get your romance,
you got everything.
You get the gang going on, okay? You get redemption, you get all of that. So
we're gonna stick with that one. That's a dope ass. I can't be mad at that. Now, get into your lady Liz. You come from Boston. You come here originally to go to UNCG?
Yep.
The Spartans?
Yep. So the way I ended up in North Carolina is crazy, and you know this, but I'll share this. So I was at home going to school. I originally wanted to be a teacher, and I was going to teach middle school. And I got put in a classroom, and I said, absolutely not. This is not going to work for me. We're like the same height. I can't do it. And I kind of was trying to figure out rather what I wanted to do. And as much as I love home, I said, I got to get out of here. Like, I feel like I was like stuck. So I literally had to talk with my grandma, got a map of the United States, and did this. And every place that I landed on, I applied to a school there. So,
that's my faith.
Right. So I got accepted to UNCG, Alabama State, Bowie State in Maryland, some school in Florida, and another school in Arizona. And my grandma said I couldn't go to Arizona because it was too far. I didn't really want to go to Maryland because their winters were like Boston. I almost went to Alabama State, but the only reason I didn't go was because they wouldn't tell me what I got in financial aid until I got there. And I was like, that doesn't sound like a good idea, so I'm not going to do that. And at the time when I transferred down here, or to UNCG, I had an aunt that lived in Raleigh, and so my grandma approved me coming to Greensboro because it wasn't too far from Raleigh. So that's how I ended up at UNCG.
That's dope. What was that experience like when you first got to Greensboro?
I hated it.
What?
I hated it here. I'm from Roxbury.
Shout
I
out to
am.
Jimmy Bulldogs.
I was lulled to sleep by the soothing sounds of police sirens, guns. You know what I'm saying? Like just general shenanigans. And then moving down here, it was so quiet. Like I remember my cell phone at the time didn't work because I was so far away. Before life expanded as it is now. I tried to go to sleep. I would cry. Like, what is that noise outside? My
Crickets.
I was like, this is stupid. Like. I hated it. I was like, this is the biggest mistake I could have ever made in my life. And my grandma was like, come back home. And I was like, I can't. Because I had committed to doing it. And I wanted to see it through it. But that first 3 months was rough. However, you want to know what made it better?
What made it better?
Krispy Kreme. Okay, because we didn't have Krispy Kreme back then.
What?
And I remember the first place I went to eat when I moved down south was Bojangles. One of my friends took me. And one of my first friends I ever met when I moved down here went to Bojangles. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to order some fried chicken. And they were like, what do you want to drink? I said, what do you have? This is back when I drank soda. And they were like, well, we have sweet tea. And I said, like regularly? And the lady looked at me like I was stupid because my grandma's from Georgia.
Yeah.
So my grandma would make us sweet tea when we behaved. Like that wasn't a thing we could get all the time. So I was like, y'all just drink this just all the time? I was amazed. I called my grandma. She laughed at me so hard. But yeah, that made it better.
Krispy Kreme. That's what's up.
I used to eat them donuts all the time.
And while you down here, what was your first the school right down the street, North Carolina A&T, man? What was your first GEO experience like at UNCG?
I thought A&T was Hillman.
Because
obviously I'm around, like my friends back home it's melting pot. I have friends from everywhere back home, but I have way more black friends here than I did at home. But one of the guys I met in class, we're still friends now. We went to go walk on that campus, and I was like, all these intelligent black people.
Yeah, beautiful.
This is it was like culture shock for me because I'm used to being around us, but it was like intelligent us everywhere. Yeah. This is amazing. It was great, but it was always funny because everyone at A&T could always tell that we were from UNCG, and I'm like, how do you know? I don't know to this day. Like, how do y'all know?
It's the thing. We could always tell. Me being, one of the locals from here, we could always tell if you went to TEG or even Bennett back in the day. It was just a certain different way that y'all gals, carried yourselves.
We tried to fit in so bad, it never worked.
That's one thing that I would say that when because I used to shoot ball over at UNCG a whole lot. I actually played in a basketball tournament. I was selected my 7th grade year, one of the best in the city, to go play in a tournament at UNCG, and then it blew my mind. I was at UNCG before I really visited A&T, even though I would go to the parade, but I had never set foot on campus. So I'm in the 7th grade. I'm like, I always had a thing for UNCG. So I used to tell you, I'm gonna go to UNCG. I'm like, you're not going to HBCU? I'm like, no. This is the first campus I set foot on. But yeah, you can tell the difference, man, between the two. And they just like 4-5 minutes apart.
Yeah. Then it didn't help when I crossed because I was like, they're like, you're the Zeta from UNCG. I'm like, why do you know? But,
so is it different though to say Zeta from G and Zeta from T? It's still all, I thought it was like all, family.
No, we're the same. I mean, clearly A&T more black people than at UNCG, so people would know me if I went to A&T and then,
Some of the Zetas, this a few years ago, they had a real big party at A&T. It was just straight exclusive. I was like, oh my God, I just happened to be going by there. I kept seeing a bunch of, I was like, oh, wow, and then my homeboy, his wife is a Zeta, so he got to go because his wife is a member. I was like, man. I said, man, see if I get this. Like, nah, you got to either be invited or either be, I said, dang.
See, my party days are over.
It was a beautiful event, though. But, it was classy. Everybody was dressed up looking beautiful. It wasn't nothing ratchet, I don't suppose, People tend to act better when, you dress nice.
When you got your good clothes on.
Yeah. So, you get to UNCG, you got your sweet tea, you got your Krispy Kreme, and all that good stuff. Then, were you still writing then and keeping like journals and diaries and stuff like that? I was still keeping my diaries because, again, I was homesick. And I was trying to figure things out. And so a part that we didn't really discuss, so I'm going to show my age. So when I moved down here, I had a boyfriend. Met my boyfriend on Black Planet.
Show my age. And my boyfriend lived in Walkertown, and he was just a pain in the room.
Black Planet was even before Facebook.
Yeah.
I didn't have a Black Planet. I think I had one maybe for like a week because I didn't have a computer.
Black Planet was popping. That scene when I wasn't writing. That's how, because I am a little bit out of it, but not by much. Very socially awkward. Like people talk to me, hey, hi, oh my gosh, and I'm nervous laughing, I'm running away.
Yeah.
So I would talk to people online because it was similar to like writing. I can be me because you can't see me.
Right.
Let's go. But yeah, I met him, and that was fun. Because when I started to make friends, he wasn't really cool with that because I was trying, I just moved down here. I'm trying to meet people. I'm trying to not so much reinvent myself, but find myself. That was another reason why I wanted to get away from Boston, because anytime I'm at home, everybody knows, oh, Reasha, blah, 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 blah. I just think and I'm always going to just be Reasha. But what does that mean exactly for me? And I had to figure that out. So I moved states away to find that. And as I started figuring out who I am, what I like and what I don't like, he wasn't really a fan of that. So that's why.
I mean, only people have their seasons, you know what I mean?
Everybody has their season.
Yeah, so, but obviously somewhere, you still here.
Let me tell you, so I ended up moving back home after graduation because my grandma got sick and my grandma passed away. And during that time, I was so mad at myself. Like everything was falling apart. Like I graduated, which should have been a happy occasion, but my grandma got sick and I'm here, she's there. Finances were crazy. I ended up getting like evicted from my apartment, and I was like, I should have never moved down here, because if I would have stayed in Boston, I would have been like, me and my grandma, we locked in. Like I could have been with her, and I don't know what I could have done because she had cancer, but I felt like I should have been there. And I was like, it's North Carolina's fault. Why would it be Reacha's fault? It's North Carolina's fault. I'm moving back home. And I moved back home. And that was one of the most miserable years of my life, being back there, because she was gone. I had experience living by myself and everything. And I was like, home was different. Like it was still home. Still go get my favorite sub from Joe's. I still go get, I don't like y'all Chinese food down here. And I never will. It's not what it could be. But I go eat my Chinese food, eat my subs, like do my things with my friends. And that was fun. But at the end of the day, when I would get home, I'd be like, this is not for me anymore. And then I started feeling like North Carolina beat me up, and I can't have L's in life. So I'm gonna go back and show North Carolina that I can survive here, and I've just been here.
Well, look at that. And we're grateful that you decided to stay. Because if you didn't, who knows where we'd be at today without you. But jumping into Waiting on My Rainbow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that title. What chose you to title your first novel, Waiting on My Rainbow?
So we done go back to my favorite book, the Bible, right?
There it is.
When we think about the Bible and when the first rainbow appeared, it was after God flooded the earth. And that was God's promise that when we see that rainbow, that he was never going to do that again. So let's think about the earth being flooded. The earth is flooded. We are on this boat with Noah, just coasting. We don't know when we're ever going to see land again, if we see land again. I'm sure everybody's getting sick of each other on that boat. You know what I'm saying? And that was not the best time. So when I looked at my life and all of the storms and things I've been through, because when the rainbows come after storms, this phase of my life that I used in this book, when I thought that there were nothing but storms for me, because, and I guess we'll get into this in a little bit, I never thought I was deserving of love. I never thought I was. And I chased it because I thought that, oh, I see other people have it, I want that too. Didn't really know how to find it, but I was like, I'm going to get it. But it just comes storm after storm after storm after storm. And when I finally shifted my focus of what love is and what it looks like and what it can be, that's when I realized that, oh, it has to be in here first before you see it in anywhere, anyone, anything. And I chose that title because I realized that in this phase of life that I wrote about, I was in my waiting phase. So I knew it was coming. I finally realized that it's something that would be mine. I just had to prepare myself for it because I knew it would come. So that's where that title comes from. Just waiting on. I know it's coming, but I need to prepare myself to receive it.
That's dope. That's deep. Like for real. Like on so many levels. Like, you know, I guess we're all waiting on our rainbow, so to speak. We go through those dark times and those storms, you know, we're all, you know, waiting to see brighter days. Now, you said you didn't think that you were deserving of love. Like, why?
I always felt like a misfit. Like I told you, my sister, girl, you adopted. I was like, am I? You know, I didn't have a present father. And I found out as I got older, my father didn't live more than a couple blocks away from me.
Right down the street.
Yeah. It wasn't far. And when I did see him, like, there were always those promises, oh, I'll be back. We're going to go do this, this, this. And a mom being a mom was like, he's not it. Like, don't think about that. Like, and I always thought, I was like, my mom's just mad because he doesn't want to be with her anymore. Like, he loves me and she's the reason, because that's what he would say. She's the reason that he's not around, because she's mad that he don't want her. So she won't let him be with me because she's just angry. And when I get older, I'm going to be with my daddy and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, as an adult, my dad has since passed away. We patched our relationship up before he passed. He passed away last year.
Oh, my condolences.
Thank you. But in my youth, I was like, well, why wouldn't my dad be around? Because I see my friends, most of my friends are daddy girls. And I would just see how, like, their dad looks at them. We were able to handle our issues with that. But I just never, like, when I was in high school, like I said, I was awkward. So all the girls got boys liking them. And then, you know, I had a very colorful relationship with my older sister. And she's super pretty. Like, she's gorgeous. And I didn't feel like I was. And I always felt like we've always been in a competition when there's been no competition. Like, she's my older sister. Like, I've always aspired to be like her. And on the other side, I feel like she just never liked me. I guess I infringed and took her mama. I don't know. But I would tell her, like, oh, there's this guy that I think is cute, but, you know, I'm too shy to talk to him. And she'd be like, oh, okay. And then she would date him.
No.
Like, why are you like this?
No.
Yeah, just not a nice person to me. And I was like, well, darn, this is my sister. Like, she's supposed to love me and protect me. That's what we're supposed to do. So I wasn't getting it from there. And then I was like, okay, well, all right, that's fine. And then when it came down to things like, I always just felt like a second-class citizen. Like, I just never felt important. And I don't know if my family knew at the time. Like, my sister and I were in the same grade. So, like, she graduated before I did. Oh, we're going to go out to eat. We're going to go to a restaurant. We're going to do all these things for her graduation. Then, like, 2 weeks later, I graduate. Oh, we'll just order something. Why I got to eat takeout, but we got to go out to eat for her? Or, like, prom, when I was working at the library. Oh, well, since you work, because she didn't. Well, you get paid every week. Well, can you just give your sister money for her prom, and then I'll pay, you know, I'll give it back to you for your prom? And I would feel like I have no other option but to say yes, because everyone's asking. Go ahead and do that. When it's time for Reasha's prom, no one has anything. Reasha got a $40 prom dress from Filene's basement and had to, you know, figure out how to get other stuff done. And it just felt like, do y'all not like me? Like, am I in fact adopted? Because you guys are not treating me in a way that is nice. And then when I would attempt to voice my concerns, it was always, you're being dramatic. It's not that deep. Oh, be quiet. And that's why I just kept writing. I was like, y'all are crazy, but I guess I'm stuck with you. So I guess this is what I deserve. And then again, as far as dating and things that nature, like when I was in 9th grade, I dated a football player. Okay. He and I were just homies. I don't even know how we ended up. We dated for like 3 months. It felt like forever. But all the girls in...
That's a long time in high school.
Come on. So we started dating after Valentine's Day. I have a disdain for Valentine's Day. But we started dating after Valentine's Day. And again, he played football. We were just homies, but we started dating. And all the cheerleaders and all the girls hated my guts. Like, why is he dating you? Like, I guess his ex-girlfriend before me, she was a cheerleader. And they just hated me. And I'm like, you guys can't even get good grades on your homework. Like, please leave me alone. But I broke up with him, and I don't even remember why. But that 3 months felt like forever in high school. But
too much.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I try to have as normal of, I guess, a high school experience as most people. But I wasn't popular like that. Like, I was in the Latin club, and I loved it, so I wasn't mad at that. But I wanted to be a cheerleader, but I'm like, those girls don't like me. They won't pick me. So I just kind of, again, I try to stay out the way. Just do what I liked. Oh, no one's going to care about who's in the classics club. Let me just get this Latin off right quick, or this Greek real quick, and mind my business. And that's what I did.
Wow. So it's like, I guess it's like how you pour into your kids now, like the encouragement, letting them know like they super cool, they super dope. You can do what that is you want to. That's what I find myself doing with my boys. The stuff that I lacked as a kid coming up.
Absolutely.
It gave me the blueprint on what not to do.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, kudos. I mean, that's stuff goes like, I can't even imagine. Like, I'm a guy, of course, so I seen some of the stuff that a lot of girls went through, especially through high school, with talking to popular guys, and if they wasn't in that clique or part of that group or whatever, them girls called hell.
Yeah. And then I had to think about it. Like, my mom handled, we handle emotions with different eras. She handled emotions one day, I handled another. I would try to talk. I remember asked my mom one time, I said, Mom, I want to be a Girl Scout. She was like, Reasha, that's white people stuff. And I was like,
Girl Scout.
Oh, okay. But again, you try to talk to emotions with someone who may not have the capacity to speak about their emotions, so they can't tell you how to handle yours when they don't know how to handle theirs. But to your point, that's why with my kids, and I have boys, so we have an open relationship like that. And I also remember, again, my mom had 4 kids. I remember we would have field trips, and I'd be like, Mom, can I have $10 so we can go on a field trip and get something? And she would give me like $8.50. And I would be so mad, like, she's just not giving me $10 because she doesn't want to give me $10. No, girl. Looking back, she gave you all she had.
All she had, her last.
Yeah. So that's perspective shift again. Why with my kids, we have conversations about things if we're able to do it or not, but mommy's going to bust her tail to get it regardless. And that's what my mom taught me. So I would feel like I may not get the love that I wanted, but I was provided for.
Right.
So I was like, well, I guess I should be quiet because I may not get this thing, but I'm getting this thing, and this thing is pretty important. So deal with it when you deal with it.
And that's a lot of things that we didn't understand into as kids, like why we didn't get service, because not the fact that they didn't want to, they couldn't.
Right.
They can only do what they can do, but that's, like I said, that's what makes us who we are today. The stuff that we went through, the trials and tribulations. I told somebody, I said, I'm grateful for the chaos that I go through sometimes.
Yeah.
Everything just can't be sunshine and roses all the time. We have to go through certain things, to strengthen our character, to make us, better people.
Yep.
I could imagine without I know some people I thought, quote unquote, had a great life, and I was a little poor kid struggling, and then I turn around and see now, I'm like, dang, so buddy digging up the trash can over there, dumpster diving. They had both parents. They had the nice stuff in school. I'm like, oh, life can take a twist of fate on it that you won't even see coming, man.
Yeah, and that one thing that, like, I'll use my mom for an example. My grandparents were together until my grandpa passed away. And I always thought, and my cousins, I've talked to my mom about it, how in the world did you have both your parents at home and all of y'all are dysfunctional, like baby daddies, baby mamas, unstable this way? How did that happen? And my mom used to just roll her eyes at me. But again, as an adult, you look at it, my grandpa was a veteran. I don't know what my grandpa saw when he was in wars. Now that I work with veterans and see whether you've been in combat or not, how being in the military can change you, how that's you may be adjusted to a specific schedule, a specific routine, and then that gets changed. And then you have to try to assimilate back into regular civilian society. Like, you didn't see what you saw,
right,
that's going to impact you at home. Like I still can't fold a fitted sheet to save my life, but I know, having helped my grandma, when she makes a bed, you won't find a wrinkle in my bed because that's what my grandpa required. And so I'm thinking, like, I guess if I put myself in my mom's shoes, you had a super strict dad and he was giving you all the stuff that you needed, like, again, as far as providing food, shelter, and all that. But how loving may he have been, like in the emotional, like gooey way, you know what I mean? And that may be why my aunts, my uncles, why they made some of the life choices that they did. But you just never know. But I'm very much a person, I'm not like, oh, well, if I could go back in time and change, I would change. I wouldn't change anything.
Right.
Even the dark days, I wouldn't change them, because who's to say that I'd be who I am if I didn't go through that? Especially to your point, you see kids that have money, their parents just throwing money at them, giving them all the material things, but you don't know what your child's favorite color is, or you don't know that child just wants a hug.
That's it. That's it, really. So, with your waiting on your rainbow, so this is like a culmination of like everything that you've been through up until this point in life.
Yep. Talks about everything from when I was born. Our family dog died under my crib when I was a baby. And everyone loves to tell me that story. That's why I was like, y'all don't like me. Because that dog died. Rest in peace, Kojak. That dog died under my crib. Peaceful. Dog, that dog died under my crib, and no one will let me live that down. Like I had something to do with it. I was a baby. What do you want from me? But from that,
his name was Kojak?
His name was Kojak.
Jesus. Yeah. like the show. Wow. Yeah, I ain't heard that name ever since then.
Kojak passed away under my crib, and they will not let me live that down. Like I had something to do with it. But just from things like that, from feeling unwanted, and the fact that feeling unwanted or unworthy followed me into adulthood because I let it. And that's one of the things that I hope people who read my story understand. We do a lot of stuff to ourselves. Yeah. And we like to say, God, why did you let this happen? Or the devil did it. God and the devil somewhere minding their business. Like, don't put them in it. We have free will. So we get ourselves in a lot of stuff, but we don't want to take responsibility and be accountable for what we've done.
Ooh, say it again. Accountability, boy. That is a thing. One thing I know with your book, I don't want to get too much away because we want y'all to go out there and get it, read it.
Yes, and please do.
But you have here, the thoughts of love are fostered from birth and throughout life. What happens when the desire for love becomes all-consuming, leaving you open all the negatives a life's journey can bring? That's tough.
Yeah. So we're talking about, so let's let's take it. Let's take something simple in related to that. Okay, drug addicts.
Yeah. No
one wants to be a drug addict.
No.
Right? And if you ever see, not a plug for Snowfall, but Snowfall is such a good show.
Shout out to Snowfall. Franklin Saint, man.
Savage. And we see how he ended, right?
Literally, he became the very thing that he despised. Yep. His father. A wino.
Yep. But when we look at, I can't think of old girl's name, his girlfriend, when she went to that party and was like, I want to try some crack. First of all, who says that? I want to try it. I want to try some crack. Yeah. But you see how
Leon's girlfriend's best friend.
Yeah, you see how she had that one hit and lost her mind. Like, you were on a path to go to college and have this great life, and that
Dad was a cop, and yeah.
If we put that into what I experienced in life, I was her chasing love. Because back to why I hate Valentine's Day. So I don't now. I've healed, I've grown up.
That's good.
But I used to, so my first boyfriend, we started dating after Valentine's Day. The next boyfriend I had broke up with me on Valentine's Day because girls love Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
It does not matter, or at that point in my life, now I'm different. But for some women, it doesn't matter how much love you show them. 364 days of the year. But on that 365th, that's Valentine's Day, you do it all. Get me a bear I can't even pick up. Get me flowers that are going to die next week. Get me chocolate that I don't need because it's going to make me break out or mess me up. Get me all of the things, because for some people, you need that day. And I was one of those, because I never had a Valentine. So my boyfriend that broke up with me on Valentine's Day, I was like, hey, make sure you do what needs to be done. And I used to be so impatient. Like, I would say that, and then every day, do you have something to do? Do you have something to do? I used to be so worrisome. That man broke up with me on Valentine's Day because he said I was stressing him out. He was not wrong. But I was 18. Again, I had no example of what that was. No example of that. And
did you get him something for Valentine's Day?
I did.
Okay.
I ended up giving it to my roommate.
Because I know some women was like, I don't get their significant others nothing for Valentine's Day.
No, that's not okay. Like, you know how people say, happy wife, happy life, happy spouse, happy house. Because you got to think about, everybody matters. And I say that as a divorced person. Everybody matters. But yeah, I Valentine's Day, that's Lover's Day. I always, like, when I had the boyfriend that in 9th grade, I remember I had a conversation with my father, and I said, I have a boyfriend. He was like, oh, you got a boyfriend? Like, you need to bring him to the house so I could see him. So I was like,
size him up.
Okay. I was excited. I told him, I was like, you're going to come meet my father. And he was like, okay, like, whatever. Because I'd already met his parents. After school, we go walk from my school to his house, because, again, all this was in close proximity. Sat outside for hours, and he never came. Hours.
Jeez Louise, you're killing me over here.
And I was like, and so, my boyfriend at the time, he was like, okay, well, we just page him later, because age, pager. But I was so disappointed, and I was like, well, why would he do that? And that was what I was chasing. I was like, well, he's my father. He's supposed to love me. He's not doing these things, so I just got to figure out what I'm doing wrong to do it. And then when I would date somebody or want to be with somebody, and they would be them, which was flawed, because we're all flawed, I always thought it was my fault. Because, again, I didn't think I was deserving of love. So I would be with somebody. It was very, very ridiculous. Like, oh, I think you're cute. You do? Okay. Well, since you like me, I like you too. Okay. Let's go.
I'm not laughing at that.
Immature.
No, we all go through that phase.
Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, look at, now we'll say, if I could have a talk with, 20, 21-year-old Reasha, boo-boo, take a nap. Because you're doing a lot. You need to go to sleep. That's what you're supposed
to do at that age, though. Hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah, but I was a late bloomer, so I'm doing this in my 20s when everybody else got this out their system.
People were still doing that in their 20s when you just living life, not even really focusing on relationships. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I guess for me, because I started out so much later than other people, I was like, I look ridiculous, but I'm not going to stop either. I remember when I was 10, I thought the world, how these like, oh, Y2K, the world's coming to an end. Like, they would blast that, like, the year 2000, we're not going to make it. Blah, 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 blah. No, I'm saying, like, that had been some. I read a tabloid. Like, I remember this vividly. I was at my cousin's house because my cousin used to take me with her to church. And I love church.
Right.
I love church because they could see me.
Yeah.
They could see me at church. So I love going to church. But I remember one day I was at her house or going to her house, and I saw a paper that was, oh, the world's coming to an end, fire and brimstone, whatever. And I was like, well, I don't want to go to hell. And so she was like, well, you need to accept Jesus as your savior. And I was like, that's a bet, because I don't want to go burn. So I got saved, and I was like, okay, this is great. I was in a choir. I cannot sing, but I was in a choir. Like, that was cool. I would go to church, and I try to get the rest of my family to go. They're like, girl, leave us alone. Like, that is not our thing. And I remember at church, this is before I was boy crazy. They had this, I don't want to tell it. It's in the book. You got to read the book about the story of the book, about what happened at church. And church and mirrors. So by the book, you'll be able to see that. But just different things. But whenever I would try to, like, date, my cousin would always tell me, she was like, you need to go back to your first love. And she was talking about God and going to church, being with Jesus. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Anytime I would do anything, like when I started writing, because I started writing this book, like parts of this book I wrote when I was like 20, 21.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah. And I just was like, nobody wants to read this. Like,
so this has different versions of Reasha.
There are different versions of me in the story. And, you know, of course I changed names because you're not going to sue me. Not going to sue me, embellished a little. But I was just, whenever I would go through these cycles of like, I want to be loved and I'm dating this guy and like, that's not a good person for you, but they see me. It's fine. It's not fine. And I think my life kind of changed when my grandma passed away, because I was like, my grandma knew that I was living this life that I'm living. Like, she would fuss me out. And that got to a point where, like I told you, I graduated, but then my grandma passed, I got evicted, and I was like, why am I still here? And she's not. She was a way better person than I was. And I'm over here a mess. And that was a part of my life where I was like, maybe I don't need to be alive anymore.
That's almost like survivor's remorse. Survivor's
yeah.
Yeah, like that's tough.
Because the turnaround time from when my grandma was diagnosed with cancer to when she actually passed away, it was less than 30 days. Well, no. She got diagnosed, I think, because she came down here for my graduation. I think it was maybe August, because there was a party for her in September that I was unable to go to for her birthday. But something happened in November, like November 2nd, because I remember coming home for Thanksgiving, because I used to love Thanksgiving, because I used to love like watching her cook. No one used to let me cook, so I love the fact that I can cook and I can bake now, because no one used to let me in the kitchen. And it just escalated so fast, and I was like, she's not here, what's the point? And I will honestly say I did try to remove myself from earth, and I did not succeed, and that made it worse, because I'm like, dog, I can't even get up out of here properly. But my best friend came and she popped up at my house one day, the apartment I was about to get evicted from, and I don't do pop-ups. And she popped up at my house one day, and so I'm still here. She was like, girl, what you doing? I was like, girl, just trying to die.
Say that's it.
Just trying to die.
Oh,
just
man.
Crying.
I think like with your story in this book, like that's why we need people to get this book, man. We're gonna drop all the good stuff before we end the interview, but it can help people. Your journey, your life story, it's other people that's out there going through it right now. It's young girls that's going through the same thing, that's feeling the same way, that think the same things that you were thinking. And being able to put this down, getting your thoughts, your expression, I feel that's very admirable, because a lot of people, us, of course, feel like, for one, I ain't gonna tell nobody my business. I don't want them to look at me like I'm crazy, or I don't want people knowing this. I want them to see me how I want them to see me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or even they feel like, I tell people all the time, like, it's okay not to be okay.
Absolutely.
Just don't unpack and live there.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? Go through your little thing.
Feel your feels.
Yeah, I go crazy in my mind 1,000 times a day, but I don't stay in that place.
Right.
I have a release, an outlet, whatever, pray about it, give it to God, and, keep it moving. But so they can get this book. Let the people know exactly where they can go, where they can get it, and all that good stuff.
So you can order it off Amazon. I don't know if we're still, feeling how we feel about Amazon, but you can buy it from Amazon. You can also get it on Barnes & Noble's website. You can order it there. Or if you hit me on any of my socials, you can hit me up and I can get you a signed copy. You can get it directly from me.
Please, y'all get out and get it. It's a great read, especially for young girls these days, because I feel like, we all need guidance, and who else to learn from somebody else that looks like us, that's been through the same things that we're going through, that you can relate to. And with this being out, what's next? What you got up your sleeve, Claude? What you got up your sleeve over there?
So I am working on the next installment of a book. So where this book ends, the next book is going to pick up and go into a little bit more detail of some of the experience that I've had. It's going to be like flashbacks of what happened here, and some additional things that have been experienced in life. I am working on a workbook to help women who are going, because again, I am divorced, and divorce is something that's talked about in the book. I have a group called Experience the Exhale, where I coach women who are either considering separation or divorce, in the midst of separation or divorce, or on the outside of that, kind of navigate life. And it's definitely not a leave your spouse group, like, yeah, be single. It's not that. It's let's problem solve. Let's find the root issue of whatever's going on and figure out what we can do to get to our rainbow.
We're going to end it on this note right here. So you let everybody know your socials, how they can get in touch with you, how they can contact you, all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah. So on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, my handle is My Rainbow Is Here. So My Rainbow Is Here. The book is Waiting on My Rainbow, but the handles are My Rainbow Is Here. And again, that's on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. If you need to email me, my email address is myrainbowishere@gmail.com.
Yes, sir. You heard it here first. Again, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we have to finish this up because you're like an onion. There's so many layers to it. We just now getting past the first layer, like, and stuff just keep popping in my head that you got going on. So we're going to figure out a way to get you back up here and dive into some more of this the awesome things that you're out here doing, you know, especially for yourself as well as for others as well.
I'm down with it.
Yeah. Well, other than that, this has been another dope episode of Talk That Talk with your boy, Big Trail. Shout out to Off the Curb Tay, man. And again, this has been Hot 92.5 The Heat, the dopest station in the nation. Y'all go ahead and get that, log in, subscribe on YouTube, ring that notification bells so you can be notified to see dope interviews just like this one right here. And it's straight like that. And we out of here.